So we're on our last lecture. This one's about county government and special districts. This is a picture from the Commissioner's Court building where we hold our Mayor's Council meeting of all the mayors. And if you look right here, this guy, his name is Vic Soom. He used to be a city manager, and now he does a lot with transportation. And then in the background, somewhere over on the other side, there's some other mayors. And you can look up here, that's where the voting booth is, or it shows how the commissioners vote. And we'll talk more about that later. So let's talk about county government. Well, in Texas, there are 254 counties. And by golly, I will ask you that on the test. So you shouldn't miss that. That should be a give me. The county government is run by what we call the Commissioner's Court. And that's this room that you see here. The Commissioner's Court is the primary policy-making body of county government, or the policy organ of county government. It's made up of 4 county commissioners elected in single-member districts, and these districts have to be roughly equal in size. This was the ruling in Avery versus Midland County, that Commissioner Court districts had to be roughly same population. And they're elected individually. Their pay varies depending on how big the county is. And it's a partisan election. So you run as a Republican, a Democrat, or an independent. The pay, where I did the pay, I'll give you an idea. In Tarrant County, I think the pay is around $120,000 a year, plus a car allowance and a cell phone allowance. And they serve a 4-year term. Now, there are 4 county commissioners, but it's presided over by the county judge. Now, the county judge is elected countywide. Now, the county judge has both judicial and administrative duties. In other words, the county judge actually is supposed to run the constitutional county court. But in a county like Tarrant County or Dallas County, that's not possible. This job of running county government is too much. It's too big of a job. And so usually in that case, you have other courts created by the legislature, what we call statutory county courts or county courts of law, that take over the county's judge's position on those court case hearings. And the county judge focuses primarily on running the county. You've probably seen the county judge lately, and this is being filmed in spring 2020 during the coronavirus, more than you'd ever seen him before. In Dallas, it's been Clay Jenkins, and then in Tarrant County, Judge Whitley. And they've been on there talking about restrictions and shelter in place. So they've been very active, and you've probably been more aware of them than ever before. So the Commissioner's Court's job is to maintain the county budget. So they have a county budget, so they adopt a budget. They adopt a county property tax. We've talked about property taxes in our lecture on city government. They maintain the county hospital. They fund the county jail. They maintain county roads and bridges. They also help provide medical care for the indigent, right? That's really what I try to tell people is we have socialized medicine in Texas. It's the county healthcare system. If you can't pay, in Dallas, you can go to Parkland. Here in Tarrant County, you can go to JPS. So they do those things. And so they work closely with municipal governments. And so the Commissioner's Court, which is what it's called, is not really a court. It's a legislative body. So enough of that. Let's talk a little bit more about some other positions. And we're going to go through these pretty quick. These are all elected positions. There's a county clerk, 4-year term. Again, it's going to be a partisan election. It's going to have pay vary depending on where you're at. And their job is to keep the vital records and statistics of the county, right? The voting records, the birth certificates, the death certificates, all of those things, marriage certificates. And so a county clerk's office can be several hundred people, or it can be one person. I mean, if you're in Loving County, population 142, it's one person. And of course, again, the pay varies. Then there's the county or sometimes district attorney, and their job is to prosecute cases. And so in Tarrant County, they share, the district and the county share an attorney, and Sharon Wilson, and they work closely together. So they prosecute the cases, and they can also defend the county if the county is being sued. It doesn't help you individually. If you're a county commissioner and you're arrested for drunk driving, you gotta get your own lawyer. They're not defending you in that case. They're defending you in your role as a county commissioner. There's also a county treasurer. The county treasurer's job is to determine, making sure the money is being spent, signing all the checks, dispersing the funds. There is as elected position again. There's a county tax collector, tax appraiser. Now, that's a little bit more difficult to describe, but it's this is the person whose job is to collect the taxes, the property taxes primarily. It says appraiser, but the legislature got rid of the appraisal part. The idea of the county tax assessor and collector was that you would have a county tax assessor that would assess the properties, the value of the properties, value of your home, value of your business, and you'd be taxed accordingly to a rate. Well, the legislature thought that might have some political implications because you work for the county, you might aim on the high side, so they created what we call independent appraisal districts. So now really what the county tax collector does is just collect the taxes. And it's elected, again, 4-year term partisan election. In counties that have 10,000 people or more, they'll have a county auditor to audit the books and to make sure that everything's, the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, and make sure the books look clean. In cities, especially smaller cities, they just hire an auditor for that period of time. And then there is the county sheriff. Now, the county sheriff is the chief law enforcement officer of the county, which is a duty that they share in places like Tarrant or Dallas County with a lot of city police departments, right? So the sheriff of Tarrant County, Bill Wayburn, he shares that duty with the Fort Worth Police Department, the Kennedale Police Department, the Arlington, North Richland Hills, all those different cities that were in Tarrant County. So in those kind of places, the sheriff's primary job is maintaining the county jail, where people go to jail for Class A and B misdemeanors and state jail felonies. And this could be an expensive proposition. That's why the sheriff's department can range from 1 to 2 people to 1,000 people as they run the jail. And so the county sheriff, they have their hands full. And so it's a tough job. Anyway, so next up is the constable. The constable is an elected position. There are several in your county, elected in districts, and their job primarily is to assist the justice of the peace with eviction orders, truancy issues, things of that nature, serving the papers. They can also give you a speeding ticket if you ever see one. They are certainly allowed to do it. So you can see that county government is very fractured. It's a very fractured government because there are all these different elected positions. I mean, you have to ask yourself at times, why are we electing the county clerk? What are the issues of a county clerk? Does somebody want to use staples instead of paper clips? Clueless. But that's the way the Constitution of Texas created it, to have a very, very fragmented, going back to Jacksonian democracy. The county gets most of its money through property taxes. And so you can imagine how much money that is. It's a pretty huge budget that they deal with. Now, let's talk about special districts. Now, special districts are created by the legislature when cities and counties cannot or will not perform certain functions. In fact, if you can look up John Oliver's from last week tonight, he has a very great video on special districts, sometimes known as ghost governments, that there are just really hundreds of districts that, or across the country, hundreds of thousands of districts that have taxing powers and regulatory powers that people don't know about. But in Texas, the most common type of special district is your ISD, your school district. They have the ability to tax you, property taxes. They have an elected board. Usually, school board members usually get paid $0 to do that job, and their job is to make sure that the school district runs efficiently and in accordance to state guidelines. Dallas County Community College or Tarrant County College are also special districts. In my city, we have 1, to two special districts. Some have several, some have like 15 or 16 special districts with boards that have a authority to raise revenue. So watch that video if you get the chance. Last thing we want to talk about is COGs. COGs are councils of government. There are 28 in Texas. You're part of the NCT COG, the North Central Texas Council of Government. And their job primarily is to bring cooperation between the different agencies or governments and streamline government. They offer a lot of training in terms of policemen, fire, city council members, budgeting, all that sort of stuff. They also help create the regional mobility plan, which you'll see that if you go to the North Central Texas Council of Government website, you can see their regional mobility plan, which is up to 2045. So a lot of exciting things going on with the COGs that people don't know about. So that's it on county governments. It's brief. There's a lot more to it. Your book has a lot more to it, but we've covered all that. And so the next time I do a lecture, we will do a lecture on reviewing for Unit 4, and then I will do a review for the final exam. So miss all of you. I hope things are going well. So talk to you soon.